Leaders, I hope that you all have been prospering in your purpose and dominating in your destiny. Welcome to another installment of our emotional intelligence series for emerging leaders. I am Takumbo Kalaja. Some of you call me Coach Takumbo, and I am doing another episode on helping individuals that are emerging leaders to grow in their emotional intelligence. Before we get started on this video, if you are new to this community, please go ahead and hit that like button for me and let me get you to subscribe to this channel so that we can continue to spread awareness on how to grow as leaders, helping people to challenge themselves and to stretch and to grow and to be invested in their own leadership development. I want you to type in the comments hashtag grow if you are excited about growing as a leader, if you feel like there is a demand being put on you in this season of your life to not stay in the same place as a leader, to pull you out of your comfort zone, to pull you into a place of greater understanding on how to develop your leadership voice, how to identify your leadership identity. Also, I want to know in the comments where you are watching this video from. I would love to virtually meet you and greet you. So go ahead and let me know in the comments where you are watching this video from. In this particular video, I'm going to talk about seven tools to help you grow in your emotional intelligence. In the last video, we talked about just what the definition of emotional intelligence is and what it means to grow. But these tools are going to help you to make emotional intelligence practical. Because I think sometimes we talk about certain things and we don't make it practical. We don't make it live in our daily lives. And one of the things I'm going to always challenge you as a leader is to do a self-assessment, do some self-evaluation, and use the tools that are necessary to see growth or to see you evolve in this particular area of your life. Type in the comments for me the number 7, letting me know that you're excited about learning how 7 tools to grow in emotional intelligence. I'm going to read this quote really quickly from the Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence. It says, emotions drive learning, decision making, creativity, relationships, and health. So I talked about in my last video how I took an emotional intelligence class in grad school and I literally thought it was a waste of my time. I was like, what is this? Why? How is this going to let me know how to be a better leader? Like, I just need to know tangible things. Like, this is a waste of my time. And I quickly found out that that was one of my favorite classes because emotions affect every part of our life and what we do with those emotions matter. I want you to type in the comments, emotions matter. And I know that I am a changed person because that is not what I used to say. That was not my belief before. And now I use these things. I leverage my emotions to make wise decisions. I leverage my emotions to build relationships with certain people. And I leverage my emotions to make sure that I am monitoring myself or keeping myself accountable. Because how many of us understand that as leaders, you need to grow in the ability to self-correct. You don't need to always wait for somebody to convict you or wait for somebody to tell you about yourself. You should be able to do so in the moment and not wait years later. And that's what I used to do, or I used to not even apologize or come back to the person and ask for forgiveness. But because I've learned the importance of this in every facet of my life, now it's easier to self-correct and to keep myself accountable and not point the finger at other people and to really take ownership for what my part was in a particular scenario or situation. And so let's get into it. The number one thing that I use to grow in the place of emotional intelligence is prayer. We talked about emotional intelligence in our last video is, first of all, being self-aware. And so one of the things that prayer enables me to do is to really sit in a place where God is able to expose areas of my life where I was not noticing, or because life moves so quickly, or because the day is moving by so quickly, I'm not stopping to think and to process what is going on internally that's allowing me to feel some type of way in this particular season of my life. And so what I love about prayer is that prayer definitely exposes some things inside of you, and it doesn't have to be negative things only, but it exposes the good things, the things that you may be downplaying. It exposes your strengths, it exposes your weaknesses. And when we talk about praying, it's not only about you just talking, but it's also you taking time to sit there in silence and to receive information. There's something I love about prayer too, is that you can come in one way thinking something about a particular topic, and you may have felt disappointed or discouraged about a particular topic, but prayer enables you to change your perspective. Your situation may not change immediately or may not change ever, but guess what gets to change? You get to change when you are a person of prayer, when you are a person that sits back and says, okay, I'm going to talk to God because God is higher than me. God sees more things than I could ever see. He has a greater perspective. He has an aerial perspective. And one of the things that God challenges us to do is to think from an aerial perspective and not just think with what's going on now and what's going on a surface level. And this is why praying is going to be important for you as a leader, because you may have not been shining, or you may have been pushing things down, and there's something about your calling or something about your purpose and something about what you're feeling right now that is actually going to catapult you, that's going to send you to the next stratosphere in your leadership journey. And so do not neglect praying as a tool to process your emotions. We also talked about how emotional intelligence is not only about self-awareness, but it's about self-regulation. And then it's also about being able to see social awareness, being able to see what other people are going through, being able to understand other people's emotions. And so prayer gives you the capacity to become self-aware. It gives you the ability to let out your anger, to self-regulate. And then also God can begin to speak to you about what other people are going through and how you can be a help to that person, what you can do, or just to pay attention. There's so many times where I was not paying attention to a particular person, and then all of a sudden I was just sitting there praying, and God brings this person back to my memory. He brings this person back to my mind, and I'm like, oh, what's going on with this person? And God is able to show me what's going on with that person, and I'm able to pray for that person and really have a heart of compassion for whatever that person is going through, and not just glossing over certain people or glossing over certain things, because again, we just move so fast in our day-to-day activities. The next thing here, and which really is it could be a form of mindfulness, but one of the things we had to do in grad school was mindfulness, where there's so many different activities for mindfulness, but really being able to sit in a place of just quiet and being able to trace your thoughts and your emotions, and seeing where your thoughts and where your emotions are taking you. What is it showing you in that time where you are focused, where you are silent, where you are present with yourself, and you're monitoring what's going on with yourself? There's a quote here from Nguyen that says, when the leader is mindful, he or she has a ripple effect throughout the business. Mindfulness helps the leader have a sense of clarity, a sense of purpose, and also a calmness and a peace of mind when they approach any situation, whether it's chaos at work or a personal relationship. Practicing mindfulness helps you achieve focus, reduce stress, it improves your physical health, and helps you to manage pain and suffering, and also improves your mental health and strengthens relationships. And so you want to take time to figure out what are some different breathing activities, what are some different exercises. There's so many different exercises that can fit your personality or what you're trying to achieve. But really, it's really about you sitting in a place of silence and solitude and monitoring people. So we did monitoring the breath. And so where was our breath going? And then sitting in silence and journaling afterwards what thoughts came up in our mind. And one of the things our professor taught us was not to judge the thoughts, or not to judge them as good or bad, because sometimes we can go down a rat race and we're not paying attention just to who we are becoming, because we're trying to judge ourselves. That's not the point of mindfulness, but the point of mindfulness is just to be aware that something is going on internally. What is your internal weather? And then also too, what are you going to do to change your day? Or what is your intention for the day? day? Who do you want to be for the day? Who do you want to show up as for the day, for the month, for the year? And so this is you sitting down in silence, sitting down and practicing mindfulness, and whether it be 3 minutes, whether it be 5 minutes, you have to take time as a leader to sit with yourself, to do self-evaluation, because there's so much noise that's going on throughout the entire day. And if you allow noise to overtake you, you may not be a person that's able to self-correct. You may be a person that's not able to take feedback, or a person that's able to adapt properly, because you did not take the time to sit with yourself and to figure out how you are showing up in certain spaces. And so mindfulness puts you in a position just to expose who you are and what's going on inside of you. How are you handling stress? How are you handling this new season? That gives you the ability to just process and to sit there and to breathe. The next thing that I tell people to do, if you've been in our community long enough, is that I tell people healing through writing is going to be a great way to regulate your emotions. And it's also a great way to become more self-aware, right? Because oftentimes we don't even know that something is wrong with us until we start writing down our emotions. And you know what? You start to think about something that happened in 5th grade, and it's still impacting your life to this day. It's still impacting your relationships. It's still causing you to not get close with the people that you need in order for you to prosper in your destiny. And so you are going to practice healing through writing, where you are going to just write to get it out of your system, write to get the pain out of your system, and even write to congratulate yourself. If you're feeling joyful, if you're feeling elated about something that's happening in your life, you're going to take some time to write out the feelings that you have. You're going to take the time to write out the things that are happening inside of you. This is a way to express the emotion instead of allowing, especially if it's a chaotic emotion or if it's a disruptive emotion, you're not allowing this to disrupt your day or to disrupt your relationships. You're pouring out your pain, you're pouring out your anguish on a piece of paper. And I know from my own personal experience that when I get it out of my system, I get it out on paper, I start to feel better. There's even letters that you can write to people if you have a grudge against them. If you're finding it difficult to forgive somebody, write a letter to them before you open up your mouth, and then write out what your emotions are. And you know, another thing that happens when you begin to write out your emotions, especially if you're like doing it for the sake of forgiving somebody, you then begin to see that maybe they're not really the problem, and there's other things that you need to deal with. That maybe you magnify them so much as being the problem, but really it's something that you need to start to deal with. And so actually healing through writing puts you in a place to become more accountable for the things that are happening inside of you, and you not blaming other people, or how you can take ownership on how to navigate your life now, or how to turn your life in a better situation, or how to turn your life in the direction that you want it to go in now, and not really put too much on another individual. And so practice healing through writing. Get my book, Healing Through Writing, the workbook. I'm going to drop the link in the description box. The next thing you're going to do is get therapy and counseling, especially if it's something severely traumatic. Therapists and counselors have language for what you need. They have language for what you're going through because they've studied this topic. They have a gift to be able to listen to people. They have a healing gift that's in their life where they have the ability to make people feel comfortable, to feel safe, and be able to express these emotions that maybe you have not been able to express to people that are close to you. Maybe you have a lot of trepidation to express these emotions to people. And so now having therapy or going through counseling puts you in a position to learn how to process your emotions, to learn how you show up in a space. Are you a person that is participating in fight or flight, or you are a person that is isolates when you're going through something? Maybe there's something that needs to go. Maybe there's something that you need you need better coping mechanisms and you don't have the tools. This particular person is an expert in the field of emotions. This particular person is an expert in the field, in the place of feelings, and how to properly regulate those feelings, and how to to forgive people, how to heal, how to internally heal. It is important as a leader to not allow traumatic situations to change you into a person that's dysfunctional, because a lot of us, we have experienced trauma, and because of the trauma, it has allowed many of us to become people that we were never intended to be. The trauma has allowed us to become counterfeit versions of ourselves. And so healing and therapy and counseling causes you to become the authentic version of yourself, because sometimes we create these coping mechanisms, we create these certain habits, and they're dysfunctional habits, to protect ourselves from other people, or to protect ourselves because you have been betrayed, protect ourselves because we have been deceived. And so now we become a person that we were never intended to be, because we have not processed the traumatic situation. And so now it's your responsibility to get the help that is necessary, and to stop putting it aside, or to stop pretending like something did not happen, because I guarantee that you are not showing up as the full, vibrant version, authentic version of yourself, because you have not enabled yourself, or you have not allowed yourself to feel your feelings and to get the help that is necessary to break through, to push past that pain, to push past that hurt. And there's a term that people use called arrested development, where they tell us that your last point of pain was where you stopped growing. And so many of us, we look at certain people and we wonder why they act like a 10-year-old, why are they acting like a 15-year-old, and they don't know that something traumatic has happened when they were 15, or they have not processed that moment when they were 15. And so now there may be a 30-year-old, they may be a 40-year-old person, and now they're showing up, or they're talking, or they have the mentality of a 15-year-old. They respond to things with temper tantrums and anger, and they respond to things in an unhealthy manner, because they're responding as a 15-year-old version or the 10-year-old version of themselves, and not the 30 or the 40-year-old version of themselves. And you do not want that to be said of you. And so go get the help that is necessary, so that you can grow in your emotional intelligence, so that you can grow your capacity to be compassionate and to empathize with other individuals. The next thing here is that you are going to use something called the mood meter. If you are a person that does not have language for your emotions, or sometimes it's hard for you to pinpoint what you feel, one of the things that we learned, we use this for middle school students or for students in school, but you can use this as an adult. I believe that they changed what the app is, but you can just Google it, go to the mood meter, and look at where you are on the mood meter. Look at the X axis and the Y axis. And then if you are in a particular color, if you acknowledge whatever feeling you are in, do you want to move to a different box in the mood meter? And then what are some things that you can do to move you from this place of maybe you are in the red, where you're feeling angry about something, but you don't want to stay there all day. You want to get to the yellow. You want to be excited. What are you going to do, or what needs to happen in order for you to get out of that red space? But acknowledging that you are in that red space, and that you don't want to continue to stay in that place. And so if you are having a difficult time, if it's challenging for you to be able to express your emotions, or to pinpoint or have language, because that's actually something that I struggle with. I did not have feeling terminology, because I did not speak in my feelings, or the only thing that I knew was anger. And then now I have other words, like you could say disappointed, and that's a different word than just being angry, right? And so use the mood meter just to build up your vocabulary for what your emotions are. But not only that, challenge yourself, if this is what you want, to not be in one box all day, or if you want to stay in a particular box, what needs to be done? What do you need to do to be proactive about staying in that particular box, or moving to a different box? The next thing here, number 6, is practicing tough conversations with people. You need to stand on business with this one as a emerging leader. You cannot run away from difficult conversations. And I may need to make another video for this, because so many of us are running away from challenging conversations. Because you are afraid of how other people are going to respond, but yet you are not expressing your emotions. And some of us, we don't want to have these challenging conversations, because now we have to express that we have feelings and we have emotions. And some of us, if we stayed on the side of being more of a task-oriented leader, we sometimes don't want people to see the emotions that we do have. And that is not helping you to be a great leader. That is not helping you to have transformation in your organization. organization. It's actually keeping you stagnant, because if you are not growing as a leader, chances are your team, your organization is not growing either. And so you are a direct reflection of what is happening in your organization. So challenge yourself. If this is tough for you to tell people that you are disappointed, to tell people that what they did hurt your feelings, if this is a challenge for you, this is your time. This is your season. This is what you need to start doing. That if instead of cutting people off, instead of just letting people run all over you, instead of just letting people anger you, because a lot of you have passive aggressive techniques, or you have tendencies, proclivities, because you don't want to deal with the elephant in the room. You don't want to deal with the fact that this person hurt your feelings. And instead of you approaching the conversation like that, you approach the conversation with the attitude. And that's not what you need to do as a leader. You need to approach the conversation saying, you know what? When you decided to cut me off in that meeting, that really hurt my feelings, because I really was just trying to express myself. And now I feel uncomfortable expressing myself because you cut me off. But now you responded saying, and you should never in your life cut me off. That was so rude. That's not going to get a good response out of people. A better response is you telling people that how you felt. This has been proven over and over again, because nobody can tell you how to feel. And if they do try to tell you how to feel, then obviously they're not growing in emotional intelligence. And you stand on business and you say what your feelings are and your emotions. Because if you don't express it here, it's going to come out somewhere, and it's going to be a detriment to your organization if you do not express it in a healthy way. As long as you get it off of your chest. And I'm not telling you that the results are going to be amazing. I'm not telling you that you may heal this relationship with this person, or they're going to understand your point of view. That's not what I'm telling you. What I'm telling you is you need to worry about yourself. You need to worry about yourself growing in this area, and you not being passive aggressive, or you not being a person that just lets things just slide. And then all of a sudden, you let it slide so much, and it's building up this tension because you decided that you didn't want to address difficult conversations, and you didn't want to address something that hurt your feelings. And so now you're acting funny, as people may say. You're acting different. You are not showing up as the authentic, full version of yourself, because you decided to not express how this action made you feel. Again, you're not worried about how this person's going to respond, because that's their own business. You are worried about how you are approaching the situation, so that you don't become a monster, so that you don't become a person that you don't like. And if this is something that is important to you, like you've been thinking about it for like 10 days, 5 days, and it's bothering you, then you probably need to address it. That's how you're going to grow in emotional intelligence. You got to jump in these conversations. You got to have these courageous conversations. You have to have these conversations and not skate by them. And you just have to do it. Like, there's literally nothing else to talk about with this. You have to ask the person, do you have a minute to talk? Maybe practice it with another person. Role play with the person, with another person, and let them see how that sounds. Write it out before you say it. Say it out loud in your own, by yourself. But never be afraid, because if you are a person that operates in fear, you are going to be angry most of the time when this comes up over and over again. And guess what? The situation is going to come up over and over again until you learn how to skillfully deal with conflict. The next thing here, I believe this is number 7, accepting accountability. Oh my goodness. One of the things that what's going to help you immensely to grow in emotional intelligence is that when somebody says that you did something to hurt them, accept the accountability. Don't try to say, oh, you should not feel that way because da 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 da. No, I'm not saying that maybe everything they're saying is true. I'm not saying that, because it may be a lie anyways. But I'm not saying that you should downplay someone's experience with you. But I would say, do some fact checking. There was a time where I was trying to grow in emotional intelligence, and I had to sit with myself, and I started seeing things where I would have certain conversations with people and it wouldn't turn out the right way because I did not approach the situation correctly. And so then I had to take accountability that it was me, that I was a problem, and I had to become self-aware, and I had to accept that I had to not respond like that in these particular situations where I would be in a group and something didn't go the way that I wanted it to go, and I would respond in this way. So if you're seeing this repeated pattern, you got to look at repeated patterns. And this is not the first time someone has told you. This is not the second time. This is the third time that someone's told you the same exact thing, and you don't feel the need to change. That might be a problem. Now you got to start taking accountability for your behaviors, because it's 3 times someone has told you that you showed up in the space and you did XYZ, and you literally did do that. Again, I'm not saying that everyone is because they may have their own things going on, right? But I am saying that you should do the investigation if you have seen it happen multiple times, especially if this is the third time something has happened. Maybe you need to sit with yourself and say, okay, is this is the third time that someone has said that, like, I'm talking to them disrespectfully, and I maybe I'm getting angry when they give me feedback. Okay, that was something I had to learn as my first year teaching. I would get feedback from my principal, and I didn't want to hear the feedback because I thought I was the best. I was the best because I just graduated from college, right? All of us think we're the best when we graduate. And then I saw repeated patterns where me and her were getting into conflict over and over again. And I realized that we were getting into the conflict because I could not accept the feedback. And she was just trying to help me. I was taking it personally, and I was not necessarily trying to take the information to, and I wasn't seeing her as a person that was helping me, but I was seeing it as an attack. And so then I had to sit back and take accountability that I was not showing up as the best leader because I was not taking accountability and I was not able to accept feedback. And so, what is it that you need to grow in? What is a repeated pattern? What's a repeated history that you're seeing a breakdown in multiple relationships? Multiple relationships are breaking down with you, that you really need these relationships. You're on the same team as these people, and you see it's not only one person on the team. 4 people on the team have said, hey, can you help? Like, can you stop doing this? Can you help us with this? Can you stop? And you say, no, I'm not stopping because this is how I am, this is how I was born, this is my personality. If you can't accept it, that's not acceptable. Because especially if it's leading to high breakdowns in your community or in your group or your organization. So in this video, talk about 7 ways to grow in your emotional intelligence, 7 tools to help you. I want to know in the comments which one of these you're going to use. Number 1, I said prayer. Number 2, I said mindfulness, and you would need to search different mindfulness techniques that work for you. And even breathing techniques, like sitting there monitoring your breath. And also number 3, healing through writing, just journaling on a daily basis, sitting in solitude with your journal and just writing out some of the thoughts and the emotions that are going through your mind so that you can express yourself. And this is a great way to just regulate your emotions. Number 4, I said therapy and counseling. Number 5, I said use the mood meter to get language for your emotions. Number 6, you definitely need to practice having these tough conversations with people and not shying away, not running away, and making sure that you are challenging yourself to not run away when you feel like you have to have these courageous conversations. It's going to be beneficial for your own growth and development. And it's possibly going to be beneficial for that relationship to have strength and that relationship to have a better bond. Because oftentimes we have better relationships with people when we go through conflict and we go through it and we thrive through it by having these courageous conversations. And again, I'm not saying that it's always going to turn out that way, but it's possible, and it is likely that it can happen if both people are willing to grow and willing to learn from each other. And then 7 is accepting accountability. When you see repeated patterns of behaviors that are not beneficial for your health, it's not beneficial for your relationships, then you got to deal with those things and find out what is the root cause of this bad behavior. What is the root emotion that is causing the breakdown in this relationship or this particular goal that you have set for yourself. All right, I want to know in the comments, which one of these are you going to use? Just choose one for right now. Do it for 90 days. See how you grow in your emotional intelligence. See how you're more aware of your own emotions. You're able to regulate your emotions, and you become more self-aware about other people's emotions as well, because that is what it means to be emotionally intelligent. All right, I'm going to build iconic dreams with you all later. And also, do not forget to click on the link in my description. I want you to join us to learn more about our leader school, our our programs that we're going to have this upcoming year. If you want to be a part of that, if you want to grow as an emerging leader, make sure you click that link in the description box so that you get the info. You can meet with us in our group where we talk about what topics we're going to be discussing as emerging leaders this upcoming year. All right, I'm going to build iconic dreams with y'all later. Love you like a leader. I'll talk to you in the next video.